Mom, I'm okay. And the question today should be, what didn't happen to me this week? A lot of things happened to me this week. My first day of classes, had a trip to Amsterdam. Basically, it was anything from travel to laundry. Except I won't really be talking about the laundry part of it because I don't want to. Anyway, so give you a quick recap of what happened from last Monday to this last Sunday to yesterday. Alright, so first things first, I am here for school, shockingly, and I have my first week of classes. I like all my classes so far, mostly because I haven't had a test in them yet, so they're my favorites. I have taken 4 classes this year. I took Cultural Communications with Chester Lee, Art, Renaissance and Baroque with Dukers. I took History of the World since 1914 with Trost, and then I took the Evolution of Morality on Our Moral Decisions with Bianca. Now I realize I gave everyone's last name there. The reason I didn't give Bianca's last name is that she doesn't like you to say her last name unless you can say it fully, and as many of you know, I have a very shaky grasp on the English language, and so I don't even try. So that's that. All my classes are fun. I really like all the classes. They're small. The teachers are interesting. I already have a few favorites, the 2 being The World Since 1914 and Cultural Communications. With History Since 1914, it's really interesting because it's covering World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Cold War, and it's all really from a German perspective because the teacher, Trost, is actually from Germany, which is kind of awesome. On Cultural Communications, we're looking at how immigration is different in here, how I'm just going to fly across there, sorry about that. How prisoners are treated differently, the mentally ill, all that cool stuff. So we actually get to visit a prison, we get some immigrants coming in to talk to our classes, high school, going to see a high school and all that stuff. It's going to be interesting, and I'm really kind of excited for that. Now, the class that I think is going to be the absolute hardest is my ethics class. 1, because it's actually a gen ed that I need, so finishing up my gen eds this semester, I'm here for a reason. And it's not what I expected. What I thought was going to happen is that we're going to look at society and see how society have evolved throughout the ages, how our morals have evolved through different society to society. That is not the case. We're actually looking at primates. So we're going to see our common ancestor and see if evolution has come, if our morality and our goodness have come from apes, and how have it evolved as we evolved. It's kind of cool. That's basically it for classes. I have nothing to report, no tests, no complaints. I love all my teachers. They're all really chill people, and you'll probably hear more about them later. Now, just going to throw this out here. I went to Amsterdam this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I was in Amsterdam. Hence the lack of Facebook and communications with most of you. Alright, so what happened in Amsterdam? What didn't happen in Amsterdam is more of the question. I saw the sights, I took a walking tour, I visited the red light district, I saw 2 amazing museums, but I know the real question you want answered. I know it. You want to know what the hell I ate? And I will tell you. Everything. I ate absolutely everything I could get my hands on. We did get provided packed lunches and free dinners, so I didn't get as many lunch and dinner cards as I should, but I did snack a lot. And the snacks were amazing. So, start straight from the beginning. I had a mountain of spuds. Apparently, French fries are like really good in Amsterdam, and they are. And what they do differently is that they put mayonnaise and ketchup on it. And like the good foodie tourist that I am, I put mayonnaise and ketchup on it. It was surprisingly good. Horribly messy when you get deeper into, because they gave you the little paper cone thing, so you have to shove your hands in there to get those last little bits of French fries. And then you come out and it looks like your hand just been through a war zone. But it's worth it because you got that last piece of freaking fry in your hand. It tastes so good. Something else I learned in Amsterdam recently. Coke is a freaking commodity. It's like this expensive, rare material that you can't find anywhere else. And even though it's made of real sugar and tastes delicious, it should never cost €3. Ever. That's like $3.25 or some crazy number like that, normally. Of course, I did buy it in a highly tourist area off a hot dog truck because I was dying of thirst from the mountain of spuds I ate. The cone was this big. I ate like this much. This is the entirety I ate. I had like this much left when I was done. Started like peddling it off to people. You want some French fries? French fries? Got some French fries here. So that was my French fry thing. Now, another thing interesting about Amsterdam is that they love herring. They really love herring. So obviously, I had to try herring. Now, apparently how the Amsterdamians, I'm calling them now, eat herring is that they take the fish and go like that. They just eat the whole fish. Kind of like smelts. So I was kind of used to I knew what to do. I knew how to bite it. I was like ready. They did not serve me a whole herring. They're like little fish too, so it's not like a big thing like that. But what they did was they cut it up. They gave me, it's like filet down the middle, so there's 2 pieces, and they put it down, and they cut it up into bite-up-sized pieces, and then they gave me a little toothpick with a little Dutch flag on it. I actually later asked someone that I knew, that knew the area, if they did that, gave me the Dutch flag because I'm a tourist, or that you do that. They just do that, so I felt like a bit of a know-it-all in Amsterdam. Anyway, the herring was really good, extremely salty because they serve it with onions and pickles. Like raw onions, not like sauteed onions, like raw pickles, and you take it and you eat it, and it was really good, really salty, gelatinous. Like, it had this gelatinous texture to it, but it's not even a strong fishy taste even, just pickly taste. It was quite enjoyable. Now, I also went to McDonald's because I, like every good American, I need to have my McDonald's. But, like I've told everyone else, I was going to get nothing from the American dollar menu and go for the Euro menu. Meaning I ate Dutch McDonald's, like actually Dutch McDonald's, and what I got off the Euro menu was a bitterballen. It's fried meatballs. I got a fried meatball with some mustard, and that was really good. I had it actually at the castle before, so I didn't know what that was called, so I got there and like, hey, bitterballen please. He forgot about my order for like 3 minutes, but then when I'm like, hey, where is it? He's like, oh yeah. So I ended up getting it. Delicious. Really good. I liked it. My next target on the Dutch McDonald's menu is a McCroquette. Don't know what that is. Looked fried. Is it a sandwich? I'm ready. And finally, shocking to most of you, I actually had some alcohol this weekend. Two bottles. 2 little beer bottles. I tried rose beer. Very girly. I like it. And then I tried cherry beer. Very good, and I liked it. So I have 2 beers that I like that I soon realized I can't get in the States. So, because I have to move here. Alright, now finally, the museums I went to, the tour I did. All amazing. I mean, I had a great time. My first I did was a walking tour, and I did that with Chester Lee, my cultural communication teacher. He's sassy. Well-dressed, like, looks amazing, but he has a sense of dry humor that, whew, like, he was wearing these shoes, right? Little dress shoes, patent black to like deep red ombre. It looked amazing. So this one kid say, hey Lee, oh well, hey Chester, where did you get those shoes? He turned, dead-eyed, and said seriously, at a shoe store. That's his humor. That's my teacher. Class is amazing. It's funny as all get out, but we learned a lot about Amsterdam as we were walking through it. I learned that if there is a hook on a house, like a little levee, that was a merchant's house, and they used to bring their cargo up from the bottom to the attic. I also learned that the houses lean forward so that when the cargo goes up, it won't actually hit the house. There's a lot of cool things we learned that way. Then he took us to the red light district, because that was actually a part of my class, my cultural communication class. And that was actually really interesting. So as many of you may or may not know, prostitution is legal in Amsterdam. There's actually this business called window prostitutes, but they don't like to be called prostitutes, they'll be calling sex workers, and that's how I will refer to them for the rest of this video. So, window sex workers, like they're in bikinis, and they pose, and they like flip their hair, and they look at you. But what's really cool about it is that since it's legal, and they have rights, they can go to the police if someone's harassing them, they have a panic button, and they have the right to refuse a customer. And honestly, working as a window sex worker is really, they are self-employed. They only rent out the window, and they can decide whoever they want. And they only do it for like a year or 2, because once they're done, they're like, okay, I'm out, yo, because they can get out, because it's a profession here. And that was really interesting. I met an ex-prostitute, talked to her for a while, learned a lot of cool things. She actually started prostitution to get a dog. Who wouldn't? And then we had like a little walking tour through the red light district, which, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, they're all... It's a little awkward, I won't lie to you. I was a little awkward because I was like trying not to look at them, and you can't take pictures of them or they'll spray water at you, as I learned from a friend who got water sprayed at her. But it was all really interesting. Alright, so next I went to the Museum of Art in Amsterdam. I think it's called Rex, something like that. And what was really cool there is that we saw a lot of Dutch art, which, because the Amsterdam and northern Netherlands was not Catholic, but Calvinist, the church never commissioned artwork. It was the merchants that did it to show, like, we're cultural, yo. So a lot of the artwork was a lot of portraits, a lot of all this stuff, and I found it all fascinating. But what the coolest part was, I saw real-life Rembrandts. Like, I could have touched the Rembrandt. I would have gotten arrested, but I could have touched it. That was really cool. And we learned a lot about how his younger life artwork was like small detail strokes, like really like tiny. And then his later works, which is like The Night Watch, was like big strokes. And I also learned that The Night Watch, well, I thought was like some imaginary scene from this thing, is actually a group portrait. Like the night guard said, hey Rembrandt, paint us. And he did. So that was really cool. I learned a lot about different genres of artwork and portraits and all that stuff. So that was super, super cool. But, oh, and I had it with Dukers, who is known as the Duke. The Duke is awesome. I also went on the tour with him because that was my art and Renaissance and Baroque class. So that was cool. Now finally, there was a voluntary tour we could take on, well not finally, but on Saturday, we could have taken a voluntary tour. And the voluntary tour we chose was the Palace and Dam Square. Now, quick thing about the Palace. It's actually a town hall first. And then Napoleon's brother came in as the first king of the Netherlands and been like, this is a palace now. Get it? Got it? Good. So we walked in there, and you'll see all these pictures I've taken on Facebook soon, but it was simply amazing. I've never been so overwhelmed in a room before because there's this one room, center hall. Everything was like built around it. That was modeled to make it look like you were at the center of the universe. Now the way they did that was they had 3 maps on the floor. One was Europe, one was the heaven, one was the world. Of course, Amsterdam was in the middle of it all, and the world map wasn't really complete because they haven't discovered half of America yet. So, kind of cool to think of. And then, around the walls, and like the top thing of the doorways, there were these sculptures. Like one sculpture had Atlas Shrugged on it, you know, holding the world. The other one had like personified Amsterdam, personified Artemis, and like these Greek gods like giving her like peace and love and all this stuff because Amsterdam rocks. She had like this eagle too that hovered a crown over her head because you mean if you have a pet eagle crown, right? And then on the other side, above the Atlas Shrugged, once again you'll see pictures, was peace triumphing over the 4 horsemen. And the way the 4 horsemen was posed, like 2 of them were being like directly trampled by peace. It was famine and pestilence, and they just looked like, dude, what the hell? But on the 2 sides was death and war, and they were posed like this. Like peace was like, ta-da, I'm here. And death was like, really? You gotta show up like that again? And war was like, he had a gun in his hand. He was like, I want to shoot you, but I can't. I want to shoot you so bad. Anyway, it looks amazing. And then there's this top mural on the building that looked so cool. It was like 120 feet up, 90 feet wide, 60 feet across. It was like a rectangle, and that was like the perfect geometric shape. So that was awesome. Now, on Sunday I left, but before I left on Sunday, I went to see the Anne Frank house for free. I should note that it was for free, because apparently it's very expensive. And, unpopular opinion incoming, I liked the Anne Frank house. I really did enjoy the Anne Frank house. I enjoyed walking through the main hall, and then, you know that bookcase? Yeah, I went through the bookcase, which was like, I was like, oh my god, that's really the bookcase. Walked in, this tight, cramped, it was cold, it was cold outside, so it was really cold in there. So, like, the height marks of Anne Frank and her sister, and, like, all the pictures she posted up on her wall, and it was really an emotional, sombering experience that I really did enjoy, as having read the Anne Frank diaries, watching the documentaries, knowing about World War II and the Holocaust. I felt really emotional, and it was like a groundbreaking, humbling experience to be a part of that. Until I got ferried into the cafe gift shop. Literally, you just walk out, and everything's dark, you know, you see like a little more modern areas, like what does Anne Frank mean to me? Like Steven Spielberg was on the screen, that was really cool. And then I walk in, Cappuccinos, $2.50. Lattes, $3. Walk downstairs. Gift shop. Here's a poster of like the Anne Frank pictures. Here's a diary modeled after the Anne Frank diary to write in. Postcards. Stamps. Books about the subject in all different languages. I actually thought that was like really well set up. Like it was English, that was organizationally, that was good. As a marketing major, I understand that they were totally playing on your emotions. You just went through Anne Frank's house, like the last 2 years of this child's childhood and how she was scared and they had quotes on the wall and everything happened and then you're in the gift shop. And I wasn't okay with that because they're using your emotional distress to sell you things. And I talked to some of the other people that went through it with me and they said, oh, I need it. They need the money. They have a donation box right there that was filled with money. And then, so, the Anne Frank house is here. The exit is here. The line was all the way around. And I don't know how much they charged, but I'm assuming it's pretty expensive. And it was like 11:30, 12 when we got out in the morning. And there was already a huge line of people. I think they get a steady stream of customers. Now I understand that someone might want gifts from the Anne Frank house to commemorate Anne Frank and say, I was there, and that is fine. But don't ferry me into the gift shop. Let me, like, if I want to avoid that, let me avoid that. Don't ferry me into the cafe where I can buy an overpriced, caffeine-inducing coffee that I can cry into because I just went through this emotional experience. Don't do that. Put it across the street. Now, before you're saying anything, the museum I went to, the art museum, their gift shop was across the street. And it's a place that it's okay to have a gift shop in. Decided not to put the gift shop in there because it's a historic building and moved it across the street. They couldn't do that with Anne Frank's house. Now, be clear that the Anne Frank house was started by her father, as a way to commemorate, and I'm assuming there was not a gift shop there to begin with. So I'm assuming as people got more and more interested and they started kind of commercialize the place, they added a modern gift shop in there. I was not okay with that. Finally, unfortunately, you won't be seeing any pictures of the Anne Frank house on Facebook because pictures were not allowed, which is fair. And a popular opinion over, and that's my week. A quick upcoming, I have more classes on Monday through Thursday, whatever, but on Friday, I'm going on a Maastricht, Belgium trip. I'm going with the Duke again, Duke, who also took me through the palace and bought the group cake and soda afterwards, so love the Duke. I also need a picture of the Duke and the girls. That's the Duke. He's doing a paid trip to Maastricht. I paid 10 euros to go to Maastricht for a day, and then after Maastricht, I'm hopping over to Belgium. And in Belgium, I don't know what I'm going to Bruges specifically, so I can look up what I'm going to do there, but I know I'm going to have mussels and chocolate. Or chocolate-covered mussels. Whatever comes first. And I will tell you about that next Monday on my next video. Alright, well, that's it. I love you, Mom. Bye.